Alright, back for another beer review, and today I'll be reviewing yet another beer from Augustiner-Bräu, and they're out of Munich, Germany, and this is their Edelstoff. So, this is a Dortmunder Export Lager that comes in at 5.7% alcohol by volume, 17 IBUs, and at the time of review, I believe that this bottle is approximately 9.5 months old. I want to give a huge thanks, shout out once again to a very good friend of mine and a viewer of the channel, Sierra Hotel, for hooking me up with this one. So big thanks to him. In the description box, I'll post a link to the beer mail unboxing video I did that contains all the goodies he hooked me up with. And said box had a lot of West Coast beers. In fact, all of them were from California, except for this one. He sent me an entire 6-pack of this beer, and I'm super stoked because I cannot get this one here in the Buffalo, New York area. When I reviewed their Doppelbock, which is called Maximator, last summer, I had to go to Rochester, New York, and that was the only one they had. And as far as I know, that beer and this one are the only two that get distro into the US, although I could be wrong. It's the only two I've ever heard of that actually make it here. So I am really excited to give this one a go. There was a surprise in the beer mail. I thought it was the Helles, and I'm sitting here going, what the hell? And then I find out like the Helles doesn't really get distro here. It's a Dortmunder Export Lager, which I'm not going to sit here and BS you and be like, oh, I know all about the style. I've had about maybe a half dozen beers within the style. I've had mostly the beers come from, a little bit of a riser. Most of them, I've had from American brews. I think I've had a couple German ones as well. But all I know as far as this beer is concerned, we'll leave this on here just so it looks nice. But as far as this style is concerned, it's kind of like a hybrid between a, you know what, let's take this off. Do I need to leave it on? No, we're going to take it off. It's kind of a hybrid between a German Helles and a German Pilsner, but because of Dortmund, Germany's water content being a little bit higher with the sulfates, it has a little bit more of that, what do you call it, the lager funk that a lot of people refer to it as. It has a little bit more of that sulfur note. So it's an interesting style. You don't see it a lot, like I said, in America. So yeah. Anyway, that looks nice. It has that like yellow golden color, great clarity through it. You can see my hand, it's a lager, should look like this. Hold it up to the light. Yeah, so it has almost a finger of a bright white, creamy looking head, decent carbonation, but I would say without question, that looks like a very nice German lager. Let's get nose. So yeah, it's funny because I reviewed Dortmunder Gold from Great Lakes, which is kind of like the one that, the one Dortmunder here in the US that a lot of people know about. And that one had a little bit more of that sulfur kick. This has a substantial, it's like definitely has like that lager funk, that sulfur note. It almost has a minerality to it. But then I get a really nice bready malt component. Like it has like a little bit of sourdough bread, maybe a little bit of like a white bread, maybe a darker brown bread, all mixed in. And then it has decent hop punch, but not like overbearing. Spicy, floral, slightly herbaceous. There's a touch of like a citrus, like a little bit of like a lemon, maybe like a lemon rind, lemon zest, lemon rind, lemon zest. Touch of maybe like a apple or pear, a little bit of fruity like yeast esters happening, it seems like. Yeah, this, you know what? This smells really fucking good. Like, this style, again, I've had like about a half dozen, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend like, oh, I've had like 30 in the style. It hasn't happened. So when I get an authentic German beer within a style that I don't drink a lot or I haven't had a lot, and it smells as good as this, I get really excited. But yeah, it smells awesome. It smells like it's going to be super clean and refreshing too. Just like, yeah, perfect on a nice warm summer day like today. Anyway, prost everybody, and thanks again to Sierra Hotel. I'm gonna be honest with you. I gotta be honest with you when it comes to these reviews. While I'm super stoked to drink this one, did I expect this to be great? I didn't expect it to be great, just because stylistically I haven't had enough to really know what defines the style specifically to a T, and also what would make it great. But after that first sip, it is really, really, really good. Really good. And it has exceeded my expectation on that first sip. I am kind of dumbfounded by the body and mouthfeel being how they are with how clean and refreshing the beer is. So as far as a body on this one goes, I thought it was going to be a little bit lighter. It is almost 6%, so maybe that's on me, but this is like straight up medium bodied. And the mouthfeel, while it has a nice crispness to it, it's effervescent, it's approaching moderate carbonation, it has a smooth, almost creamy sensation. It's like fluffy, but like not crazy fluffy, just like fluffy. It's so clean too, like it is such a clean beer. It's awesome, that finish. Wow, I didn't think I yeah. The flavor profile, and here's where maybe I'm not going to go crazy in terms of like rating and like just lose my shit over it, because the flavors, they're not meant to be like, dare I say, bombastic. Shout out to Paul over at Brewery, or like in your face, or punching you, knocking you over the head, with a steel chair like I'm in WWE with flavors, right? That's not what this is supposed to be. This is supposed to be an easy drinking, a little bit higher in ABV, flavorful beer, and that's what it is. It's not too much of anything. Front of the palate, tons of that breadiness. Again, sourdough bread, maybe a darker brown bread, white bread, all mixed in like a kind of like a hybrid of all three of those breads. Right after that, I get a little bit of like a lemon zest, maybe that pear and apple, very slight, minute, not as much as in the nose. And as it continues through, all that sweet malt goodness starts to transition into more of like this nice, I would say more of like a slightly spicy and herbaceous hop profile, maybe a little bit floral too, earthy to some degree. Finish is very dry. This is almost bone dry with a mild to moderate bitterness. I'd say more approaching mild, and maybe the age has played a role in terms of the bitterness. I think maybe fresh, this would be more mild to moderate, but approaching moderate as opposed to mild. But I don't really care because it's dry enough to balance everything out. On Untappd, I've seen some friends check this one in over the last year, and I've seen some people give it really high scores and love it, and other people being like, it really doesn't do it for me. I can see that. I can see how someone drinks this one and is just like, whatever, it's solid, it's a good lager. For me, the nuances, and when you sit down and break down a beer like this, it's not the same as just sitting down, hey, I'm going to crack a beer and watch a game. You're not dissecting it. You're not trying to figure out, what you're tasting from a body to mouthfeel perspective, what kind of nuances in the flavors are happening. What is there subtleties? Is there anything that's a little bit too cloying? It's much different when you're like, I always say that too, like when I do like American adjunct lagers or like beers that aren't supposed to be thinking beers. When you sit down for, 8, 9, 10 minutes and try to break a beer down, it's difficult to do, I feel anyway, at least in my opinion. I have trouble with it, but it's also hard to share the experience with somebody who maybe hasn't done that and just say, hey, I like that beer because I always got a 6-pack in the fridge and I just drink it one after I mow the lawn or whatever. It's not the same in terms of how you are thinking and processing the beer. But anyway, I could see people not loving this and just being okay with it, and other people loving it. I'm firmly in the I love this camp, and I might be in the minority, but this is fucking delicious to my palate. Like I'm gonna go back for one more sip because I don't want to go crazy high. I don't want to send too much love to this beer, but maybe I do because maybe it deserves it. I don't know. Yeah, I love it. It's a fucking delicious beer. I have 5 more, and I'm not gonna be greedy and drink all of them, even though Sierra Hotel sent them my way probably for that reason. But I know there's people here locally that can't get their hands on this one and have loved it in the past or never had a chance to try it. So I'm going to have to hook them up with a bottle of it so they can try it. I might save one more for myself, though. I think I have to. And then the other 4 I will hook others up with. But anyway, yeah, this is really delicious. So Augustiner's Edelstoff, I have no issues whatsoever at giving this beer. I'm going to give it a straight 4.5 out of 5. And I didn't think I was going to do that today, but I did. This is up there now with one of my favorite authentic German lagers, period. You can put any lager in front of me from Germany, and this is battling them for what I enjoy. Now, all this beer does is piss me off that we can't get the Helles, because I'd imagine I'd love the Helles, because Helles is like one of my favorite German lager styles. 5.7% too, you can't really taste it. I do know though, from the body standpoint, that it definitely is a little bit bigger of a lager. I wouldn't guess this is like 4% if I was doing it blind. Definitely has a little bit bigger of a feel. The price point availability, I have no idea. So Sierra Hotel, if you want to chime in what you paid for this, or anybody else in the U.S. who can get your hands on this one, because it does say on the back here, imported by Global Village Imports LLC, King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. So this is imported in Pennsylvania, which is crazy. We can't see it here in my area. But if you can get your hands on this, let me know what you pay for a 6-pack. I would be easily willing to pay like, $15 to $18 for that. It's probably like what, 12, maybe 15? It's probably more in the $12 to $15 range for a 6-pack. And availability, again, I don't know. It says it's imported in PA. If you're here in the States and you can get your hands on this one, you've never tried it, owe it to yourself, or you owe it to yourself to give this a go if you like lagers and you like specifically German lagers. But here's the thing, too. The thing about this beer specifically is that I forgot my train of thought. So let me take another sip and see if I remember. What was I going to say? I was going to say, about availability or whatever. I don't know. I don't know where I was going to go with it. All I know is if I see anything from Augustiner in my neck of the woods, I am picking this one up. So if you've had this one before, post in the comment section. Let me know. I'm totally expecting some folks to be just like, hey, it's okay. I do know one person that drank this recently, a very good friend of mine, viewer of the channel, Rick. I think he gave this like a 3.75, maybe a 4. So he clearly wasn't loving it as much as I do. And him and I usually on the same page about 80, 90% of the time. So I like that. I like that, you differ sometimes. But I want to hear, do you love this beer? Do you not like this beer? Do you find this okay? For me, I'm firmly in the camp of I love this beer. I wish I could get it here easily because it'd be in my fridge all the time. This is really, really tasty. So anyway, appreciate everybody stopping by for another beer review here in the Beer Patrol. Huge thanks to Sierra Hotel for this one and all the goodies in general, and appreciate it. To the next one. Prost.